fully realizing I was doing it. I think like I think I have always been a person who um if I see something that's like wrong or that's an injustice or doesn't feel right, like I have to say something or do something. Like I can't, I'm not a bystander. Like I think because I grew up in the world where people bystanded when I was being attacked, you know?
Mhm.
So I think and even just being like my first act of creation being you know like a political response that I've always sort of felt that way. And so when I started producing, well, when I started doing my first solo show, um, my director and I, we sort of were like, let's like, we noticed that we would start the day just by talking. And it was, and then it started to become like a check in. Like every day we would rehearse, we would just start by checking in with each other and seeing where we're at. And that became a part of our practice. And then it was, let's shorten our rehearsal days. Why are we going 8 hours? We don't have to. We are in control of this. Let's shorten that. And and all of these things that we were doing, we slowly started to realize we were making it more accessible. We were making it more accessible for us, um, but also anyone else who came into the space to work with us. The fact, because now typical theater is 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. Um, when you're running a show, you're often expected to do 8 shows a week. So that's 2 shows on Wednesdays, 2 shows on Saturdays. Um, our, our rehearsal schedule is like 10 to 6 until Tech Week, where it's often longer, and your uh, tech staff is working like 12-hour days, and this goes on for weeks. It's not sustainable. It's not healthy. It's definitely not accessible. And I actually think it's inhumane to make, especially if the content of the show is particularly traumatizing, right? So all of this is a standard way of the way that theater worked. And I was like in it and being like, oh, this doesn't feel good in my body. This doesn't feel like I'm able to be a human, like I'm able to maintain friendships, that I'm able to take care of myself, because all I'm doing is rehearsing and then memorizing my lines. I'm not like eating properly, I'm not sleeping properly, I'm, you know, and I'm in pain a lot. So I think like, you know, and the answer you get all the time is that's the way it's always been. So why do we need to change it? And my whole thing was like, well, why can't we change it? Like I don't understand like why, just because this is the way it's always been doesn't mean that it works. Because what I was noticing is like whole groups of people were being left out of experiences. um I didn't even feel comfortable in a lot of these experiences. I was being harmed actively in spaces for many reasons. So I think it turned into a real need for disability justice in theater. And then what I realized is that I wasn't alone in doing this, that there were other people who were also advocating for more accessible spaces. And this is where I found how I was able to find other artists, other disabled artists who were doing very similar things. Um, and when I started learning about relaxed performances, and my whole thought process is, well, why can't they all be relaxed? Why are we having like one day a week that's accessible for everyone when we could just make the whole thing accessible? Like I didn't like, it just wasn't making sense to me. And so now as a producer and a director, I have the opportunity to create those spaces.